What is up, guys? I'm WipCPL and this... Gah. Fucking hell. Let's try that again. This is Final Fantasy, the second to last episode of this playthrough. First things first is to sell, well, my 4th protection ring, because I know I will not be needing it. The same goes for the ice shield, because I need the extra space. This time around we will be going after the 4th fiend, Tiamat. And if you don't have the chime and the warp cube, you will, well, not make it very far. Let's just say it like that. Without the chime you won't be able to enter the tower. And without the warp cube you won't be able to reach the flying fortress or whatever. So, the fact that you're watching this episode this early is out of sheer luck, pretty much. Honestly, it's nothing else. The reason for that is because there's a very difficult fixed encounter right before the fiend. And for whatever reason it didn't trigger. I don't know why. It did last time and the one before that. But this time? No, not at all. Even if it did, there's nothing I can offer of any value as to how you take it down. Just say a prayer, use anti-fire and hope for the best, pretty much. There is nothing I can say that will make it easier, but I can point out where exactly it's supposed to show up. I also have a minor idea why it didn't trigger, but even that doesn't explain it very much. You can also meet vampires here. Well, that's where our focus is right now. The gear we get and the enemies that we meet. And how do we best deal with them. You also saw that I got the Vorpal sword. It's weaker than the ice sword, but has a higher index number. And because of that, it has a higher critical hit rate. The Aegis shield will protect your knight from turning into stone. That's a good thing, especially here, and also in the final part. It will be more obvious, well, pretty soon I would assume. Maybe not so much in this one, but it's still a very useful thing to have. The nightmares we haven't seen since, well, that would be back in Castle of Ordeals, which was a long time ago. And they're still weak to ice, or should be. And then there's the Batman. Decent strength, no weaknesses, and don't do anything special either. Nothing else to add to that. Also, the one who has the Aegis shield should really have the wizard staff as well. I didn't do this immediately, but I will learn that mistake, or not so much a mistake, but that will be changed pretty soon. And for those of you who were confused when I said that a higher index number gives an increased chance of a critical hit, and that's because I said this in part 1, but if you're new to this, then the game rolls a random number between 1 and 200 whenever you attack. It then once it determines that number, it compares that number to the critical hit percentage of the weapon, or that's what it's supposed to. And if the number that it rolled was less than the critical hit number, then the attack is a critical hit. However, the game is bugged, so it does that from the index number, and the better weapons you get, the higher the index number, and the rest should be self-explanatory. Saber tigers are not new, but the Medusas should be, I hope. Otherwise I've missed something. Probably missed the green Medusas back in Castle of Ordeals, but I'm not so sure about that. Even if you've never met the Medusas before, if you have a decent knowledge on mythology, you'll know that they can stone their enemies. And the Aegis shield will prevent that. And to avoid them from ever turning anyone into stone, you confuse them. It's about, I'd say, a 90% chance that they'll be confused. Probably not true, but that seems to be the case. Even if it isn't, I don't care. It confuses them pretty much most of the time anyway, so it doesn't really matter that much. So, what you want to do is give the wizard staff to the one that has the Aegis shield, because then you can always confuse them, and it can quickly become a huge mess if you can't confuse any of them. It makes things a lot easier, just trust me on that one. Speedrunners also utilize that strategy. So, well, that's why I do it. Whatever. You'll need the warp cube pretty soon. Not around here though. But you will still need it. Okay. Like I've said before with vampires, I'm pretty sure. Light Axe casts harm 2, which we got back in the water ruins. Don't remember the name anymore. Have your white wizard use a normal harm attack, and then have your black wizard use the mage staff to deal fire 2 damage. And that's how that works. Nothing different. I also said last time that my knight had a sun sword. That's not true, because that sword we will get pretty soon. We can only get it in this dungeon. So I just broke any and all rules without even knowing. Well, that's cute. As for encounters here, well, there's these guards. Have no weakness, even though it appears to be that they're weak to lightning. Some sources claim that they don't, but... well, I don't know really. Looking at the amount of damage it does, it would seem logical. But yet again, I don't know. I guess there's someone out there who's a better judge than I am. Also, the fixed encounter is one of these kind of guard looking creatures, except, well, a lot bigger and a lot stronger. He has 1000 HP and can use a spell called Nuclear, which deals about half of anyone's damage, if it doesn't kill them in the very least. Depends on the ribbon and if you cast anti-fire or not. I don't know. I'm also level 20 here because I failed the first time, thinking that perhaps level 20 is better. Some people claim that you should be at least level 30 if you want a chance at that. I figured, whatever. At some point it's gotta work. Well, this time I didn't even have to fight him, so there was no point to all the leveling up. There's the Cerberus. As useless as they were back in the volcano. Or I don't remember the name, I don't care. They can use Scorch, which is a fire-based spell. You don't need to use anti-fire because the damage it deals is already so little. So it's irrelevant. And as always, we get far more gil than we will ever need. We also found Thor's hammer. I wonder how he even lost something like that. You didn't think a god would lose an item, let alone his own fucking weapon. Whatever. Much like intuition would make you think, you can use it to cast a lightning-based spell, Lightning 2, so it's the same as the Zeus gauntlets. Also we got the Sunblade and the Dragon armor. Sunblade is strong against undead, which is why I keep it. And like I said in the last episode, but if you didn't watch it, Opal armor and Dragon armor has the same dodge penalties as well as armor defenses. The difference is that Opal armor only gives minor resistance to lightning, while Dragon gives minor resistance to everything. Also, only your knight can have opal armor and dragon armor, so there's no point in keeping the opal armor afterwards. Besides, we'll discard it to get some even better weapons, or armor. Yeah, sounds better. That's the point of that, so I'll discard it at some point anyways. So, there's really no point in keeping a hand on to it. And why the heck did I even keep this? I don't care. Short battle anyways. Shouldn't have kept it. Whatever. I don't always think about what I'm doing whenever I have to edit this shit. Also, I changed the video settings, so you should see better quality now. I hope so. It doesn't seem to be taxing whenever I record, so that shouldn't be a problem. This fight will perfectly demonstrate why you keep the wizard staff. It may not demonstrate the point exactly how I wanted it, but it should still be a pretty good proof of why you have that. If they had lanced my ninja and I didn't change who had the wizard staff, if he had been stoned there, I couldn't use the wizard staff. Of course, I do have soft potions, but it's much more annoying that you have to unstone someone, risk them getting stoned again before you even use the wizard staff. And that's the only reason. What else you need to understand is that when they are confused, there's only two they will attack. Themselves or someone from their team. They will never harm you, but only amongst themselves. And when they do this, you can use either Mage Staff, Zeus Gauntlet or Force Hammer, because they will have dealt enough damage one way or another to kill each other. You can't use one item to kill them explicitly unless, well, you get a high damage range, which is rather unlikely in the first place. But if they have received damage before that, they will die almost immediately. Well, immediately, pretty much. Now I'll save you from that and stop right here and make sure everyone is healed up. Fixed encounter, yay! A blue dragon. Now I need to stress this because this mistake I made, because I read the facts wrong. It is weak to fire and casts thunder, not the other way around. Now how could I make such a mistake? I don't know. Bad memory, I guess. Well, nothing changes about using anti-lightning, because he can, well, deal more than half damage. I think he even killed my black wizard on one recording, or in one recording, when I didn't use anti-lightning. So there's no excuse not to use it. And if you plan on using Quake, don't bother, it will resist it. It's a fucking dragon, it doesn't get caught in an earthquake. That should be obvious, I hope. And if not, whatever. Well, continue healing up, because things doesn't get any easier. If you didn't have the warp cube here, you would have wasted a lot of time, because you wouldn't get here without it. Refer back to episode 6 or 5, I think, if you need to know where to find it. Here we get the Bane sword. It's useless when used as a weapon, but it should be no surprise what it can do when used as an item. It's kind of given away in its name. However, if you don't know much about this game, or are tuning into this without having watched the rest, Bane, when used as an item, will cast a spell called Bane, which will cast a poison smoke, which will have a chance to kill, well, anything it hits. A low chance, but it's there. And some of those who are weak to it will be immediately killed by it. Now, why would I say that last sentence? Oh, you'll see. I might already have given away what it's all about. What else will you meet? Well, the Grey Naga, as well as the Air Elementals. The Air Elementals have no weakness, but I think they can resist certain instant kill attacks. I won't give any guarantee about it, but I have an idea that they might. They are mostly there just to block you and deal a lot of damage. That's pretty much the only reason why they're there. Now, even though the Bane Sword might have a higher index number, its base damage is absolutely pathetic. So, you wouldn't keep it to use as a weapon, but as an item. And there's only one time I will, be using it as an item. Because, well, you'll see pretty soon. I might certainly have made that point back in episode 4 or 5, when I was in Melmondo and bought Bane as a spell. Well, I might have given too much away already, but you should know already what it's all about, I think. And I figured he didn't have pissed me off enough back in Ice Cavern. That is why you will use your offensive items, well, items that can deal damage, because he has low HP anyways, and all he can do is fuck you up anyways. So, that's why you would do that. You get a second heal helmet, discard it, because you don't need 3 healers, you only need 2. And you only give your healing helmet to the other mage, which doesn't have the healing staff. That way you get in 2 heals, and most of the time your other mage will not be using offensive spells, let alone attack, even if it's a red wizard. So, that's the reason for that. Now I had to speed this segment up by 5 seconds, because otherwise you would have to watch some lag. You probably won't even be able to hear it in the music. It's noticeable, yes, but not too awful. Well, at least I'd say. The Manticores have one function. It's called Stinger. You should be able to figure out the rest. I'm sure you should be able to. If you've played Heroes of Might and Magic 3, you have a good chance of figuring out what it's all about. And if not, well, what other games has Manticores? None that I really know of, but if you've seen Manticores or fought Manticores in other games, you should be able to know. They're pretty consistent when it comes to certain enemies, well, abilities and whatnot. And in case I still have to point it out, Stinger causes poison. That's the only reason they're there. And this is where I will return the speed to normal, because the next segment didn't start lagging. That's a problem I have when I cut out certain battles. One segment might start to lag while the other one won't. Apparently speeding it up by 1% will, well, fix that issue. Could speed it up by a lot more, but that would not be nice. Let alone to look at, let alone to listen to. As it wouldn't make much sense anyways. This is the kind of the final floor that has specific items. There are 3 well, I'd say 4 that are mandatory. The ribbon is the first one. It should not be hard to guess why. I pointed out that last time. In case some of you still don't know, it will give defense to special attacks. Well, spells. Spells and special abilities, which are, well, what I think is considered special attacks. And we got level 21 for both the Knight and Black Wizard. Holy fucking yes. Meet the green Medusas. What can they do? Oh my god, they can stun you, and they can turn you into stone. What can you do? Burn their asses like the witches they are. And that's no exaggeration, by the way. Necessary items 2 and 3. Black shirt and white shirt. The black shirt will cast Ice 2, the white shirt will cast Invisibility 2, which will make all of your characters, or increasing the dodge of all your characters. That's what that does. And I don't think I need to go into more detail about the black shirt either. Now, since I have that, some of you might wonder, will I keep defense even though it increases evasion? Yes, I will. We need the adamant. You can skip it, but I highly recommend that you get it. There was a dwarf back in... could that be episode 2 or... most likely 3, where he talks about adamant. And if you give it to him, he will give you a special weapon. The other items you can find are not necessary, and not on this floor either. Now there's 2 ways to get to the portal here. I take the one that I'm familiar with. And I don't know what happened here, but I started getting a lot of lag. But it resolved itself, so can't complain. I knew that Steam was lagging because it was downloading, and so I turned it off. Guess it still had something to say anyways. Either that or it was something else, but I'm not sure. Man-cats are your worst enemies because they cast Fire 2 and destroys everything. And I skipped all the healing here. In order to find the portal you need 2 up and 2 left. Or the other way, which I think is 2 down and 2 right. That one I'm not sure about, but the first one I am, and that's the one I've always used. The sentries, however, according to my sources, are actually weak to lightning. Well, they're an upgraded version of the gods, but shouldn't be too much of a problem either. Well, this is how much of a problem you might think they are. Or might be. Sounds more correct. Okay, we're nearing the end of this dungeon. And also our never-ending enigma. Now this long walk is where you will meet a fixed encounter before the final boss. I can't point out exactly where it will happen, but I have an idea. You can meet the red hydras, or run, that's up to you, I don't care. There's nothing you should know. I said back in an episode that you should remember these guys. This is out of place that you can meet them here. Oh well, doesn't really matter. Heal up, as always, and cure the poison. Right around here. I'm quite sure it's here you're supposed to meet the fixed encounter. But for whatever reason it doesn't seem to happen, or didn't happen at all. And so I started thinking, okay, it's on the next step. But nothing. Now I figured this is it, and no. My only guess why it didn't happen is this. I got a random encounter on the same step as the fixed encounter, and so the random encounter overruled the fixed encounter. I don't know if that's the explanation, but that's all I can think of. Otherwise it's supposed to happen, I'm pretty sure. Tiamat can do a couple of things, lightning and poison. And not poison in the sense the poison that kills you, but deals damage and can poison you. But I will let this battle speak for itself. I don't want to spoil anything. But use anti-lightning and fast on your knight. And, well, the rest. An instant kill attacks kills a fiend or a boss. You will not see this at any other point, well, unless it's a task, but other than that you will not be seeing it. So enjoy it while it lasted. Not too much healing to do otherwise. Shine the orb and we're leaving. All that remains now is Chaos, which is the final boss of the game. Once he's dead, well, game beat. That would be lovely to pull off. I will make an attempt, or maybe two, tonight. Not sure how much practice I will do before that, but I will make attempts. Those will be live commentary, and I only cut out battles when necessary. That's all there is I will say about that. I want my first time to beat this game to be special. Either way, that's the end of that. Take care and peace out.